We know what world that I live in terms of politics. How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? Don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list. You've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you. This man is coming.
Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the f*** you think you is?
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. So I want to come on and talk about a story that just broke this morning, okay? The FBI has arrested coaches and NBA players for illegally gambling. And KASH PATEL, the FBI director, said it's a whole operation that's going on, even involving the Mafia. Like, you can't make this stuff up. I want to go ahead and get right into it. Here is KASH PATEL of the FBI. Watch.
To announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure.
All right, so you guys just saw that. You see FBI Director KASH PATEL talk about exactly what's going on. I mean, crime families with the Mafia, NBA coaches, NBA players. You can't make this stuff up. Now, I know a lot of you sports betting guys are tired of losing your parlays by one leg, okay? But now you know why. And it's funny because last season in the NBA, guys that would normally get 10 to 20 points, they just magically started to get pulled by coaches or passing excessively. Like, they started to do a whole lot, and you're just wondering, why are they doing this? You normally score. But again, now you know why. So I want to get into ESPN's The Get Up because this morning they had a great take on it. Watch.
We'll state some of the obvious things right off the bat. We live in an entirely different atmosphere when it comes to sports gambling than certainly those of us, Shefty and I, and some of the older people at the table grew up in this business being around. Sports gambling was always something that was completely verboten. It was something that was sort of in the shadows. It was something that leagues stayed far away from. It was something that networks like ESPN would stay far away from. Those days are obviously long behind us. You hear a lot about legal sports gambling on this show. The Bussin' Boys, obviously sports gambling is a huge part of what you do, so we put those all out there as a preamble because it might be in the back of people's minds, and we acknowledge that this is a different time and place. However, there is a fine line, not so fine, there is a bold line that obviously has to be drawn between legal sports gambling when it comes to the public and anything that might infiltrate into locker rooms and into teams. And it is, we all knew it was going to be a complication as this became more and more prevalent within the world of sports.
And he's absolutely correct. It should have never made its way into the sports league, okay? There is a fine line. However, with gambling, this is what you get, okay? And we all know about the crime families and the Mafia families that already exist when it comes to gambling. And I find it really funny that at the bottom of ESPN's lower third, you don't see that sports betting ticker. I mean, they took that completely off. Go figure. But yes, these players and these coaches, they have conspired alongside the Mafia to defraud people out of millions. And I do mean millions. And that leads me into the New York FBI Assistant Director talking about how this has affected others. When I say in the millions, how they have been defrauded, how the games were rigged, I want you to pay attention to what he has to say here. Watch.
This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged, and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York.
Like, who would have thought the Italian crime family in New York would be behind all this, let alone they're still operating in New York? Because I could have sworn that Giuliani got rid of them all in that big bust. Apparently, there's still some crime mob and crime family left in New York. Shocker. However, I want to get into Terry Rozier, okay? I want to get into his criminal activity and what the FBI had to say about him. Watch.
One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rozier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case,
like, you can't make it up. When she said he was benched, not for injury, but for integrity, yeah, they know you're done. Now, this is all over the media because the story just broke this morning, so more information is going to come out throughout the day. However, the NBA is cooperating. You know, everybody is saying that they are more than willing to cooperate with the FBI in this investigation. However, what I want to know is, how in the world are these crime families still operating in New York? Like, I really have an issue with that. Like, what did you do? Like, did you only lock up some of them? Did you only lock up 1 or 2? Like, what in the world is going on? So a gentleman in this Fox segment says that very thing. Like, yeah, we're talking about the NBA players, the NBA, the coaches, whatever, but the crime family, what are we missing? Watch.
Bill, I have to say, I think the lead was buried. I mean, they're going to show pictures of Jones and Rozier and Billups and the NBA logo because obviously that's what kind of sucks everybody in, where you go, wow, these are rich people, they're famous people, and they were involved in an illegal gambling activity. Here's the buried lead. It's the fact that the mob is back. We've long thought of La Cosa Nostra, the 5 families of New York, and I worked on the Gambino squad when I was an FBI agent, as being on the way out. Well, 3/5 of them, only the Lucchese's and the Colombos are sitting down right now saying, how did we not get a piece of this? But this is a fascinating case, and 31 subjects in one of them and 6 in the other. This is going to be an interesting case to follow.
All right, so you guys have seen all of that. Now, last but not least, I want to get into Stephen A. because he decided to go on ESPN this morning and decide to throw his hat in the ring to talk about what's going on between the NBA and the FBI. Now, you know Stephen A. fancies himself, a politician, and he absolutely doesn't have a leg to stand on. We see how he just voted to Jasmine Crockett. However, in this segment, Stephen A. Smith decided that he would make Donald Trump the scapegoat for the reason why the NBA is getting investigated for gambling. Like, you can't make it up. These things don't just happen in a matter of 6-7 months, okay? These things happen over years' time. And KASH Patel and others even said it. What in the world is Stephen A. talking about? He's always dumb, talking about he's a centrist, talking about he's a populist. He knows what he's talking about. He knows absolutely nothing. I want to get into this segment of Stephen A. being loud and wrong. Watch.
How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. the Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story, okay? Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to party, or whatever the case may be. This was his kind of connection to that. Oh. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming.
What the hell does that have to do with the NBA and coaches and basketball players using the crime mob family to gamble and swindle people out of money? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, Stephen A. does not need to be in politics. Like, what is he talking about? Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump has absolutely nothing to do with this investigation, okay? The FBI has been doing this ongoing. I mean, the FBI said, and I quote, Terry Rozier, 2023, he's being accused of, or allegedly, he's accused of bank and wire fraud, okay, for these types of transactions with this whole gambling mess. On top of that, he's also being accused of telling people when he was going to be out the game, and that was in 2023. What in the world is Stephen A. talking about? And this is what I mean by people putting their foot in the water that shouldn't be there. You're dirtying it up, you're muddying it up because you don't know what you're talking about.
I've been saying it for a long time. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today. I'm watching a press conference with the director of the FBI.
You damn sure didn't watch it.
Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen people, we've seen accusations before. We've seen athletes get in trouble with the law before. You don't see the director of the FBI.
That's because you don't see athletes with the Gambino crime family or the Lacosta crime family. Like, what is Stephen A. talking about? You obviously did not watch that press conference, okay? The Italian crime family is a big deal. That's why KASH PATEL is there. And he said that they have been going about this case for a matter of years. I can't stand an ignorant person, okay? Especially an ignorant liberal, because they always try to put it on Trump. Talking about Bad Bunny. Trump don't care about no daggone Bad Bunny. Why would Trump care about Bad Bunny? Like, come on, miss me with the nonsense. Stephen A. is doing what most liberals do. Pander, okay? When you're in trouble, pander. When you're in trouble with black women, pander. When you're in trouble with the 92%, pander. That's all you got to do. Because at the end of the day, Stephen A. knows this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He's not a part of the FBI. On top of that, this has been a case ongoing for years. What are you talking about?
A press conference. It's not coincidental. It's not an accident. It's a statement. And it's a warning that more is coming. And that's what they're saying here. And everybody better, I'm just telling you, it's as serious as it gets. This ain't the platform for me to get into it the way I'm going to get into it. But I've been saying he's coming.
Yeah, don't get into it on any platform, not ESPN, not your platform. Like, we don't want to see it because you don't know what you're talking about. Talking about, oh, this is a statement. You know, he's coming. Coming for who? You and your people are criminals, okay? Those athletes are criminals. What does that have to do with Donald Trump? You cannot make this stuff up. Stephen A. has to be the dumbest person on the planet, okay? The dumbest person on the planet. I try to give him grace. I always try to give people grace, even liberals. I got a heart. However, nah, the man doesn't know what he's talking about. Talking about, oh, it's a statement. A statement of what? What would the statement be? Exactly. The man don't care about that NFL. The man don't care about the NBA. And honestly and truly, you need to call it like it is. Those players did the defrauding. Those players decided to get in the bed with the mafia. It's their fault. Put it where it belongs. But no, liberals can't do that. It's racist. It's, you know, it's just Donald Trump. It's the orange man bad all the time.
He's coming because in his eyes, folks try to throw him in jail. In his eyes, he's innocent. They try to put me behind bars.
What does that got to
I'm
do with
getting
NBA?
everybody.
What does that do
He's
with
not
NBA?
playing. And so this, in a lot of people's eyes, talk to people in the NBA, talk to people in the NFL, talk to people in the world of sports. They think this is like the tip of the iceberg. These are the kind of words that are coming out of people's mouths.
Oh my God.
It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's better brace themselves because he's coming.
When I tell you that man don't know nothing, that man don't know nothing. Talking about everybody in the NBA, everybody in sports knows what? Donald Trump has nothing to do with this. These people defrauded people. These people did it to themselves. And instead of you telling these people to take accountability, you must have been talking to Ratchet Crockett. Okay, you had to be talking to Ratchet Crockett because this is a talking point that Ratchet Crockett is definitely going to use. He's getting young black men locked up from the NBA, coaches. They don't want y'all making money. Meanwhile, they're out here with the crime mob families. I'm sorry, when did that become a legal thing to do? When did you allow people to not have accountability for their crimes, okay? For their actions? Stephen A., please do us all a favor. Stay out of politics, okay? I don't want to hear it. I know you're going to go on your show and say it anyway, but I don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. You are a coward. You decided to curl up and beg and grovel like a buck, okay? They buck broke you. I'm telling you they did. You decided to grovel to Jasmine Crockett and the left and the 92% because they came for your neck, and now you don't want cancel culture to come for you again. It's absolutely sad, but I can't say I'm surprised. All right, so you guys saw all of that. So here are my thoughts. So let's pour it up. I can't stand Stephen A. I am now on a Stephen A. rampage, okay? I will now be on his neck, okay? Just like with Roland, just like with Don Limon, just like with Kamala, just like with Ratchet Crockett. I will now be on Stephen A.'s neck because he portrayed himself as a centrist, at least trying to be logical, okay? Now, if he says something that's true, I will still admit that it's true. However, there's no more of me giving him grace or a little leash because the man is absolutely insane. And I really do think he's been talking to somebody in the Democratic Party. He has now got on the bandwagon of Trump derangement. And since his hairline is all the way back so far, I'm going to put him in bald-headed reasoning. Because the reasoning that came out of his mouth this morning is just absolutely nuts. I can't do it. The man is crazy, and I will not allow it. KASH PATEL, round them all up. I'm absolutely for it because these players don't have integrity. These coaches don't have integrity. People spend their hard-earned money, betting, okay, doing whatever they do with these parlays. And then for you to actually go and do this shows that you have no integrity and you shouldn't be playing the game. I don't care if you are good at what you do. This is wrong. And for people like Stephen A. with this big old platform that, he said he had the other day, with this big platform, not to be talking about accountability is just absolutely ridiculous. However, I could be wrong. So you guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this whole thing. Let me know what you think about Stephen A. with his stupid take. And let me know what you think about KASH PATEL and the FBI and their conference. And lastly, let me know what you think about all of this going on with the NBA's players and coaches and the crime families of New York, the Italian mob. You can't make it up. You guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe. It's your girl Mika, and I'm out. Peace.